everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is McKenna for those of you who are new here, and today's video is actually going to be kind of like a makeup tutorial sort of thing. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and so I thought it would be kind of fun to do a look for Valentine's Day. So this is the look that I created. I really like how it turned out, so yeah, if you are curious to see how I did this, then just keep on watching. Hey everyone, so to get started, the first thing that I'm going to be doing is putting some concealer on my eyes. I kind of like to do this first so that as I'm doing the rest of my makeup, it kind of has time to set. So the concealer that I use is by L'Oreal. It's the Infallible Full Wear Concealer, and I'm in the shade Ivory 330. So then the next thing that I'm going to be doing is filling in my eyebrows. So as you can see, my eyebrows are very light and not very thick. So I find this like a very crucial part of putting my makeup on every day, whether I'm doing more of a dramatic eyeshadow look or not. Start with an eyebrow pencil. So the one that I'm using in this video is by NYX, and it's just their micro brow pencil, and mine is in the shade Auburn. And so what I usually do with this is I'll use the spoolie side and I'll brush my eyebrow hairs up, and then I use the pencil part of it and I kind of underline the bottom line of my eyebrow. And a big tip for this is make sure that as you're going inwards, like as you're going towards the inner part of your eyebrow, to put less pressure on it, because you want the inside of your eyebrow to be lighter than the outside. So then as you're working your way out to the corner, then you can apply a little bit more pressure, but you don't want it to be super dark in that inner corner. Then what I do is I go and use the spoolie again to brush the eyebrow hairs down, and then I kind of do the same exact step, except I'm tracing the line on the top. Another tip if you're going to do this method is to really try to use the natural shape of your eyebrow. And there's a bunch of other methods that people use. Like if you have thicker eyebrows, this is probably not quite as necessary. You can kind of just use hair-like strokes and just kind of put product where there are some sparse areas, but because my eyebrows are so light, I feel like I need to take a little bit of an extra step just to make sure that they're well defined. And then after I finish kind of getting the outline of my eyebrows, what I like to do is go in with my pomade, and I use the pomade by Anastasia, and my color is again Auburn. This matches really well, I feel like, with the NYX eyebrow pencil. My pomade is a little bit old though, so it's kind of dried out. So as you'll see later, I kind of go back in and add a little bit more product to some spots that didn't really take the pomade very well. But I feel like outlining your eyebrows first kind of helps make it a little bit easier to fill them in with the pomade, because it's kind of like a coloring book. You just fill in between the lines. Kind of similar to outlining my eyebrows, I make sure to put less product on my brush when I'm working on the inner part of my eyebrow, and then I put a little bit more product on the outer corner. So again, this really isn't obviously the only way that you can do your eyebrows, but I've found with my eyebrows being so light that this method really works for me. So if you have eyebrows that are really light, kind of like mine, you might want to try this method and see if it works for you, but there are definitely other ways out there. So now, as you can see, like I mentioned before, there's a couple spots, and I think this is because my pomade is kind of old and it's not quite as moist. So there's a couple spots that really don't pick up the product as well. So now I'm kind of going back in with my eyebrow pencil and just cleaning up any of those spots and making sure that they're all filled. I am so particular with my eyebrows. Like, this is probably the part of my entire makeup routine that takes the longest. And then the last thing after I'm done filling them in is I just take some eyebrow gel. Right now I'm using the eyebrow gel from Anastasia, just the clear one, and I'm just brushing them into place. So next what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of the same concealer that I used before, the concealer from L'Oreal, and I'm just kind of covering up some little acne spots and blemishes that I had on my face. I really don't like wearing full-fledged foundation all over my face, so I kind of just spot conceal. At this point, if you wanted to put on foundation, or if you want to do your foundation even like before your eyebrows, totally go ahead and do that. It's all just personal preference, but I just don't really like wearing that much makeup on my skin. So here I'm just kind of covering up some of my red spots just to make my skin look a little bit more even. Okay, so next is my favorite part, and that is eyeshadow. So for this video, I'm actually using the BH Cosmetics Glam Reflection Rosé palette. So the first color that I'm dipping into is this kind of light, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but I'm just dipping into this with a fluffy blending brush, and I'm going to buff that into the crease. So I kind of start by focusing on the outer corner, and then I blend that in the crease and blend that going up like towards my brow bone. And if I can give one tip with eyeshadow, it's just to take your time blending, because that is honestly, like, that can make or break your eye makeup. And so here I'm just blending it a lot. I really want to make sure that there's no harsh lines or anything like that. And as you can see, it's kind of a little bit darker in the outer corner of my eye, and then it gets a little bit lighter on the inner corner. Okay, so after I have it blended how I like, I'm going to dip into this darker maroon kind of shade, and here I'm using an angled fluffy brush just so I can be a little bit more precise, and I am first packing that on into the outer corner, and as you can see, I'm kind of using like stippling motions just to get the actual pigment on the outer corner there, and then once I've got the eyeshadow kind of caked on there, then I'm going to buff it out into the crease and blend it into the shade that we used before. Also, keep in mind that you don't necessarily need this particular palette to do this look. There's a lot of pretty neutral palettes that kind of have a pinky sort of tone to them, so any of them would really work for this look, but this palette is really great for the price. It's very affordable, and I would definitely recommend it. Okay, so after I have those two colors kind of blended out, then I'm going to dip into this really light, kind of nudish sort of shade, and I'm going back in with that same brush that I first used, and what I'm just going to do with that is I'm going to blend out the crease color up to my brow bone. So this doesn't really make a huge difference, but I do feel like it does kind of help just to make them blend really nicely into the skin. And just make sure that when you do this, that you don't pick up a lot of product. You really hardly need anything on your brush, and you want just a very light hand with this. You don't want to make anything too dramatic, because we're really just trying to blend out the shadows and make it look much more effortless. So then I felt like I lost a little bit of the depth that I wanted in that outer corner, so here I'm just adding a little bit more of that maroon shade back in there. So then we're going to pick up this really light pink shimmery kind of color, and this color is going to go all over the lid. You can use a brush if you'd rather apply it that way, but I found that I got better pigmentation if I used my finger, and I'm just kind of pressing that all over the lid. And here what I'm doing is I'm just going back to blend the outer corner with that shimmer shade that we just added. And then lastly, I'm going to take this very light white kind of shade in the top corner, and I'm going to use this for the inner corner highlight. So here I'm just taking a very, very small brush and applying that to the inner corner of my eye, just so that it helps kind of brighten up your eyes. We're going to go back into that very first kind of terracotta sort of shade, and I'm going to put this all under my bottom lash line. And then buff that out, make sure that you don't have any like harsh edges or anything. I'm kind of using a fluffier brush for this, just so that it does kind of have more of a blended look to it, rather than being a really harsh line. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to be doing here is just curling my eyelashes, and after that I'm going to tightline my eyes using the Longwear eyeliner by Flower Beauty, and this is in the black color. So next up, I'm going to be using some mascara, and for my top lashes, I use the CoverGirl Clump Crusher mascara, and then I actually use a different mascara for my bottom lashes because the Clump Crusher one is not waterproof, so I find that if I use that on my bottom lashes that it kind of smears throughout the day. So then the one that I use on my bottom lashes is, it's actually another mascara by CoverGirl. It's the Plumpify, and this is the waterproof one. Next, while I wait for my mascara to be dry, I'm just going to be adding a little bit of bronzer to my face. I usually like to do something like after I put my mascara on and before I put my falsies on, just to make sure that the mascara is really dry. And so the bronzer that I use is by L'Oreal. It's the True Match Lumi Bronzit, and I have this in the color Light. And I really like this bronzer because I'm very pale, so it's kind of hard for me to find bronzers that really work with my skin, and this one I found works really well. And I don't really like to overdo it with the bronzer. I kind of just like to give myself a subtle bronzed look. Next, I'm going in with some highlighter. So I'm using, there's this little Revolution Pro palette, the Supreme Highlighter Illuminator, and I'm going in with that kind of rose goldish sort of shade. Okay, so the last thing that I'm doing is I'm adding some falsies. Now, you definitely don't have to do this, it's completely up to you, but I find that it just really kind of amplifies the look. So the lashes that I'm using are by Kiss, and they're the little black dress style. I really like these lashes. They're very natural looking, but they just make you look like you have a very full set of lashes. And the glue that I use is also by Kiss. It's just the Kiss Strip Lash Adhesive. And so I put that on and make sure to blow on the lashes a little bit just to make sure that the glue is tacky before I actually put it on my eye. And also, I forgot to mention this earlier, but I will have a list of all of the products that I used down in the description box, just in case you're interested in trying any of them out. And then I almost forgot that I wanted to add some lipstick. So the lipstick that I'm going to be using is by ColourPop. It's one of their luxe lipsticks in the color Third Eye, and it's just a really pretty neutral kind of color, and I feel like it just finishes off the look really well. And then the very, very last thing I'm doing is just using some setting spray. The setting spray that I have is by e.l.f. And yeah, that is about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I am no makeup artist, but I do really enjoy doing makeup, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. So yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.